Hi guys, welcome back. I hope you're all doing very well. I haven't made a video in a while. I kinda missed it. So today, this video popped up in my feed and I have a feeling this is gonna trigger the hell out of me, so I figured I would show that to you guys. This is from the channel Psych2Go, which is a psychology-based channel. It's actually a pretty big channel. They have 2.5 million subscribers, so I hope they have their facts straight. I'm not subscribed to them, but most of their videos seem very fine and very accurate, so we'll see if they do the same for self-harm. 5 ways you are self-harming. Let's go.
Self-harm is painted as a particular portrait of sketched lines across arms and scars that don't heal. But there are other ways to self-harm that aren't as openly discussed.
Well, yeah, that is pretty true. The most well-known self-harm method is cutting your wrists, and it is definitely not the only one, but it is the most well-known from the general public. It's the one that you will most often see in the media, in films, in series. So yeah, up until now, pretty accurate.
The Oxford Dictionary defines self-harm as the deliberate injury to oneself, typically as a manifestation of a psychological or psychiatric disorder.
Okay, why did they use that definition? We have the DSM-5 that gives a definition of self-harm. We have the ISSS definition of self-harm. The Oxford Dictionary is just a general dictionary. It's not a psychiatry dictionary, it's not a medical dictionary. Would they do that for any other mental illness? Would they go to the Oxford Dictionary to go to the definition of depression, BPD, bipolar disorder, post-traumatic stress disorder? I'm pretty sure they wouldn't, because we have better definitions that are made by psychiatrists. So why not go to the DSM-5 or the ISSS to get an accurate definition of self-harm? I guess this is probably because really not that many people know about the ISSS, the International Society for the Study of Self-Injury, or know that self-harm is in the DSM-5 because it is in another category than the main category. I made a whole video about that if you want to go watch it. It's just here. But yeah, that's not the best definition choice.
The key word there being deliberate.
Yeah, the keyword is deliberate, but this is just a tiny part of the definition of the actual definition of self-harm. The International Society for the Study of Self-Injury defines non-suicidal self-injury as the deliberate, self-inflicted damage of body tissue without suicidal intent and for purposes not socially or culturally sanctioned. So they have one aspect right, the deliberate aspect, but you have the damage to body tissue aspect, you have the non-suicidal intention aspect, you have the not socially sanctioned aspect, you have the self-inflicted aspect. So this is a very basic definition that they're using and really not accurate scientifically or psychologically. And side note, I know I'm jumping in a lot, but there's a lot to say in this video.
Everyone has unhealthy habits, but if the intention is to hurt yourself, then it becomes a type of self-harm.
Nope, not everything self-destructive is self-harm.
So how do we stop these dangerous habits? The first step to combating them is materializing them, changing the label from bad habits to things that damage.
Okay, I'm not really sure what they mean by that, but we'll see.
Here are 5 ways that you're self-harming. 1. Sleep deprivation. A common symptom of depression can be oversleeping, but another sign can be willful insomnia. When you stay awake because you don't believe you deserve rest, or you feel a compulsion to keep yourself up, it becomes an act of self-harm.
Okay, no, not really. So if we take back the actual definition of self-harm from the ISSS and the DSM definition is very similar. So is it deliberate? Yes, it is deliberate. So it fits their definition because it's injuring yourself and it is deliberate. But as we just saw, this is not all that is to self-harm. It is self-inflicted, yes. Is it damage to body tissue? Well, maybe technically, I guess, in the long term. Is it without suicidal intention? Yes, I guess. And is it for purpose not socially or culturally sanctioned? It's not really possible to say. I guess it wouldn't be, but I could see some situations where it is. But let's just read what the ISSS has to say more about this definition. Self-injury usually results in some sort of immediate physical injury, including cuts, bruises, scratches, or marks on the skin. Behaviors that do not directly result in injuries are usually excluded, even though they may be harmful or dangerous. For instance, food restriction is typically not considered a form of self-injury, since the associated physical damage tends to build up over time instead of happening all at once when the behavior occurs. So basically, just because it might cause damage at some point doesn't mean it's self-harm. Otherwise, a lot of things become self-harm, and that's really not useful.
Lack of sleep can cause moodiness, poor concentration, poor memory, worsened symptoms of depression, hallucinations, and even death. 2. Excessive exercise. Self-harm can be used to force feeling when everything feels numb. In the wise words of Elle Woods from Legally Blonde, exercise gives you endorphins, and endorphins make you happy. But when there is no other way to feel content in your life, endorphins can become addictions. Over-exercising can cause problems in the heart and blood vessels, bone problems, arrhythmia, and weaken the immune system. Doctors recommend that you limit exercise to an hour a day, unless you are an athlete and have a regimen that specifies otherwise.
Well, yeah, I really like the explanation they give for self-harm in this clip. The fact that it can be used to just have an endorphin rush, or that it can be used to make yourself feel less numb. But again, excessive exercise is not really self-harm, is it? Deliberate? Yes. Self-inflicted? Yes. Damage to body tissue? Yes. But just like before, damage that builds up over time, and usually damage that isn't intentional. The goal may not be to harm yourself, your goal may be just because you need exercise, but you don't want to hurt yourself. Well, if the injury is not the main goal, is not the main focus, is not the main reason for the behavior, it is not considered self-harm by the ISSS. The harm that results from self-injury is an intentional or expected consequence of the behavior. Risky behaviors that could result in harm, such as not wearing a seatbelt while driving, or accidental harm that may occur when playing extreme sports, are typically excluded in our definition. So I liked a bit about what it said about the reasons behind self-harm, but excessive sport is usually not self-harm.
3. Over or under eating. While over and under eating are signs of eating disorders, they can go hand in hand with self-harm. Forcing yourself to eat when you don't want to, or not eating enough, is dangerous. Binge eating can cause stress, heart disease, pain in the back and joints, and worsen symptoms of depression. Under eating can cause extreme weight loss, elevated liver enzymes, fatigue, dizziness, and even death.
Okay, so I'm not gonna repeat myself again because what I said for the two first ways you can self-harm is pretty much the same. So you can just apply what I said for the first two to the third one.
4. Isolation. Whether you're an introvert or an extrovert, everyone needs some form of human interaction. Forcing yourself to be alone and missing opportunities because you can't feel anything or you think you don't deserve to have fun is destructive. Studies have shown that prolonged isolation can raise blood pressure and make you more susceptible to diseases. It can cause headaches, dizziness, and sweat. In extreme cases, people who have undergone absurd amounts of solitary confinement were found to grow severely anxious and even hallucinate. In one study, the effects of isolation stayed present even after they were released.
Okay, so the same as before, but this time there's not even really body tissue damage, is it? Or even in the cases that they mentioned, it is not intentional and it is definitely building over a long time. So, not self-harm. Again, not everything that is self-destructive is self-harm. I may need to get that tattooed on my forehead so people remember that.
5. Triggering yourself. Triggers are defined as things that re-trigger trauma in the form of flashbacks or overwhelming feelings of sadness, anxiety, or panic. It is best to avoid your triggers whenever possible. However, some people use their triggers as a form of self-harm, purposefully seeking out things that will affect them adversely.
Yes, I agree. It's not okay. It's never okay. But it's not self-harm. Again, no body tissue damage. Basically, the only point that they cross is the deliberate part. None of the other items of the self-harm definition, the actual self-harm definition, are being met.
Everyone's triggers and their effects are different, but no one should seek them out. Forcing yourself to experience symptoms that will hurt you is never okay. If you are experiencing any of the above urges, please talk to a loved one, licensed professional, or helpline. No one deserves to be in pain, no matter what your self-harming impulses are telling you. We at Psych2Go urge you to seek help, because it will get better.
Well, that is actually a very great part. Please seek help. You do not deserve what is happening to you right now.
We know that phrase tends to sound like a broken record, but one day it will be your favorite song.
Well, I have trashed Psych2Go enough right now. But what I wanted to say is that they have 2 other brilliant videos on self-harm that are actually accurate and that I think can be very, very helpful. The first one is 5 not obvious signs of self-harm, which I think can be very, very helpful for loved ones that may be concerned that someone is self-harming. Those are some very, very great things to look out for. And the other one is called Self-Harm and Self-Care, Tips on How to Cope. I think this is a very, very great video too. So the people doing these videos at Psych2Go are clearly not badly intentioned. They don't want to hurt people, they want to help people with self-harm. But this type of video is actually pretty detrimental to the self-harm awareness community. As I've said so much in this video, not everything self-destructive is self-harm, and you can't treat self-harm, non-suicidal self-injury, the same way that you treat eating disorders, the same way that you treat insomnia, even if it's purposeful, the same way that you treat any other... You can't treat every self-destructive thing the same way. And we already have so little self-harm awareness and self-harm treatment, specified self-harm treatment. And these videos are probably not only promoting some misinformation about self-harm and what it is, which is really not good, but they're probably also comforting people in the fact that, well, we have some treatment for self-destructive things, so why do we need self-harm specified treatment? Well, we do because it's not the same thing. I also just saw that they have a video called 8 Signs of Emotional Self-Harm You Should Recognize. I'm not gonna react to it today because it's probably gonna be too long, but that's probably another video that's really not accurate. That's probably very similar to the one I just reacted to. So 4 videos on self-harm, 2 very good, 2 probably very bad. I'm gonna say it's okay. And oh my god, in the description of the 8 signs of emotional self-harm you should recognize, they say, self-harm, also known as self-injury, is defined as the intentional, direct injuring of body tissue done with or without suicidal intention. They kind of contradict themselves. Okay, so I just skimmed through the video, the 8 signs of emotional self-harm video. None of them are self-harm. They don't even tick the deliberate box. I'm a bit confused. They're not deliberate, no body tissue damage, nothing. It's just self-destructive thoughts that you have, which, don't get me wrong, I don't want you to get the message that those should not be dealt with, that those are not important. Really, that's not what I'm about here. But we just need to recognize that those are very, very different things. You can't treat negative self-talk the same way that you treat self-harm. Okay, so, to conclude this video, my goal here is really not to trash Psych2Go. I know I've been very hard on them, I've been very, very salty and very smug in this video, but this is frustration, not really directed at Psych2Go, I mean a bit, because they have such a big platform, they have a responsibility to share accurate information about psychology, which is their main topic. But it is mostly frustration at the state of self-harm awareness, even in professionals, even in the psychology community and world. We are so far behind. So at the same time, I don't really blame Psych2Go because good information is so hard to come by, and even most professionals of mental health don't really know much about self-harm, so it's not just their fault, I would say, but they still have a responsibility. They're still a big YouTube platform and they should still do a bit better about that. I mean, I'm a 21-year-old girl. I am probably nowhere as qualified to do research, to understand psychology as they are. And if I can find those informations, I think they probably could too. And that's gonna be it for today. If you have other videos you want me to react to, please leave them in the comments and I would gladly do so. If you want to chat with me or see daily content from me, you can hit me up on Instagram. Link is in the description. As always, I answer to every DM I get. And I hope to see you very soon. Bye guys.